I'm muted. Hello, world. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Gretchen, Simon, Alexander, Tana, and Monique. How are you guys?
Hi again.
Good, thanks.
We can just keep this workshop train rolling. I just want to make sure that there isn't a separate link for the second workshop. Can I just be...
It seems like all the meeting in the same Zoom.
They're certainly supposed to be in the same room. I just want to make sure. 947-524-053. Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Good. Then let's crack right on. As other people join, and I might just post in the link quickly that they can. As other people join, I will start to do the other basic sorts of things that you do to kick off a workshop, just like we did earlier, getting to know them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the meantime, I know who you guys are and you guys know me. So we don't have to do that. Just give me a second while I post to the announcements channel. What's your guys' plan for the next sort of 12 hours or so? Who's working all the way through? Who's taking a break and going to bed? What's sort of everyone doing?
I'm probably going to sign off after this session and just go to bed. And then we have a team meeting in 9 a.m. my time. So I don't even know what time it is over there. But yeah, it's my plan for now.
Nice.
I'm also signing off after this. I'm taking notes and I'm gonna share them in our, someone created a Notion page, which I just learned what that was today.
Nice.
So I'm taking notes and I'm gonna share them and then I'm gonna go to bed and we have a meeting 6:30 a.m. It's 1 a.m. now, 6:30 a.m.
Excellent. You have done good work then. That was like what my last night was like. I think, yeah, 1:30 till 6, and then admin, and then workshop, and then team check-in, and then workshops. And then I think I'm going to go to bed again. We have a couple of new members. Hello to Chris. Can I see gallery view? I can see gallery view. Hello to Aaron. Hello to Chris. You guys should be able to talk now. I've opened up the mics.
Hello. Morning.
Hello. And then I apologize because I still can't say your name because my knowledge of Cyrillic is horrendous. If your email address is ruru@lenora.russia, is that you, Alexander?
No.
Lena.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, what was your name?
Lena.
Liana, how are you?
Fine. I'm sorry.
It's my fault. Like,
Yeah, I didn't notice.
I should be able to do.
Like I thought it will be like my full name, but not email.
No, it's wonderful. No problem at all. And
Yeah.
Terry's online. Hello, Terry.
Hello.
How are you? And Maher, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for joining us. More people, I'm sure, will wander in over the course of the next little while. I'll keep unmuting them and bringing them into sort of the collective, and I'll highlight some more as we do. But we did a workshop just before this one with Alexander, Gretchen, Simon, Tana, and Monique. So I might not highlight you guys, but Terry, Aaron, Maher, Priya, and Chris, and was it Liana? Did I get that right? No,
You mean me, Lena?
Lena, sorry. And Lena, do you guys maybe want to introduce yourself and say a quick hello to the rest of the group?
Hi,
Sure.
everyone.
Well,
Oh,
Go,
hello.
Priya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Priya. I'm the project lead for an online fitness video platform. Essentially, during quarantine, we want to remove the barriers to exercise so that people can take control over their health and well-being. I'm a doctor by trade. I'm a wannabe entrepreneur, and after this hackathon, I want to be techie too. Nice to meet you all.
You too. Chris, you're next.
Hi, my name's Chris Kerisk, introducing a business called Surge, and Surge specialty is your click and collect concierge, and we're supporting contactless service, and we're going live tomorrow.
How exciting is that? Wow, go live date. Man, oh man. Lena, how about you?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Who are you? And why are you here? And what are you working on?
Okay. I'm Lena. I'm originally from Russia. Now I live in Munich almost 2 years. And I'm a junior UX UI designer, interaction designer. So I have background in marketing, maybe 2 years in marketing and content creation, 4 years before in Russia. And here I decided to switch my career to interaction design and UX UI. So I finished a startup program from Munich Technical University about how to create digital products. So as an interaction designer. So I just finished this program and now I'm looking for a job, and now this crisis. So it's a chance for me to participate for hackathons. I already finished one hackathon previous weekend in Austria startups. So
That's great. How was the Austria Startups Hackathon?
Yeah, it was really busy, stressful, and but excited because a lot of interesting projects. And we even was in final teams, so not winner, but
still,
at least,
that's great. Way to go.
Yeah, I'm really excited to participate and to help as much as I can, and to just practice my knowledge.
Do you have a project that you're working on already for this hackathon?
Yes, I have project. It's a project about like base knowledge, flashcards about health and corona. So I mean, we still discuss about idea. Yeah.
Nice. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, are you online?
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm actually one of the mentors for one of the mental health app ideas. And I'm just here just to listen in while I'm trying to help out with other things.
Lovely. Thanks for helping out over the weekend.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
Hello guys, I'm Maher. I'm Java developer based in Beirut, Lebanon. I'm working currently on a project to basically, in this hackathon, to help the elderly and people with difficulties to move to request services from local volunteers or local service providers around them. And we're still at we're having some troubles in communication, so we didn't have a Zoom meeting and so on so far, but we're trying to set things up. But yeah, that's the idea.
That's great. And how have things been going with your project so far?
Some discussions over Slack, but we didn't manage to have a Zoom meeting yet. So not really, I wouldn't say we are progressing fast, but let's see how it goes throughout the day.
Nice one. Terry, do you want to give a quick overview of your project and introduce yourself?
My name is Terry. I am project lead for Little Drops. We have not started work yet. We not started actual coding yet. I think my team is still not awake, but I've started framing the layout of the different interesting bits that we want to do, so that I can get the discussion going moving forward. Basically, the project is is a research project coming out from the universities that allows parents to create fun little stories for their kids and be able to track how the children are doing with their reading. We decided to participate in this hackathon or submit this project for the hackathon. Is one of the important things in this current environment is to take care of our children. We are now at home and finding activities for both the parents and children to do and to, in a way, keep everybody sane. Hence we put in this project. Our hope to, at the end of the hackathon, to at least showcase what we are trying to achieve, and at least to test out with the perhaps other members of the hackathon and see whether it's really a fun application to start with. Yeah.
Great. Abdullah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you? Do you want to introduce yourself and your project?
Yeah, my name is Abdullah. I'm from Oman. I used to work something similar to my project, which is the washing. Sorry, I don't remember like our projects in here because I'm working with the team.
Hand washing?
Yeah, it's the hand washing. Yeah, that one.
With
so
Minty,
it's
right?
mostly like, huh? Yeah. It's like we are working on basins and sinks because those products that the people use, it's the most attraction way to the COVID-19 because it spreads around within the touching. So most of the areas that people touch, which is the basins and the handles and everything. So we are trying to think about how we can avoid that to create some innovation on the things that we are creating. So recently I started to check some of the previous work from different companies that are creating some challenges like rocket design. Roca is a company specialized in toilet furnitures. So I'm working on that now. And I saw some like brainstorming from different ideas that people can start looking after that and changing the people habits and behavior, how to react with public areas. Because in a way, what we see that when the virus spread, people are changing. They start to do many things like they are not used to do, like using the sanitizers, using the gloves, using many things that they are not used to. But this will create some awareness about the health around the world almost.
Totally. It sounds like such a good project. How have things been going? Has it gotten started yet?
It's just first of all the brainstorming. We didn't go deeper because after that it's gonna be like the technical part and some of the, how I can say it, like the assembling of the project, how it's gonna work, if it's gonna be as a development to existing product or it's gonna be like an innovation one with a combination of softwares, or it's gonna be a combination with recyclable materials. It depends how it's gonna work with the team because each one has different backgrounds. So I think we can work with that.
That's great. And last introduction for the morning, Nikita, can you hear me? I'm conscious of the amount of time it takes to come off of mute, but maybe not. We have a topic to discuss. So this workshop will last for another half an hour from now, and is about what it takes to submit a successful project, what successful projects look like, what kinds of goals we should be aiming for with the applications, and sort of how to make what you're working on the winning project. There's sort of two sort of angles to this that I really want to highlight. There's the projects themselves, i.e. how to demonstrate good progress in a very short period of time, comprehensively consider the stuff that matters to a judge and to sort of an assessment of whether or not you're going to be able to do some good with this application in the world. So that's category one. Category two is literally how do you submit the project and the specifics of where the files go, what file types you need, what formats you should follow, are there templates or best practices. And I want to sort of set expectations for this workshop for right now. We are still at the organizer and judge level finalizing the details for the second piece. So we have the framework, and I will talk about it in this workshop, but we aren't anticipating releasing a full set of robust and specific guidelines about exactly how to submit your winning project until later this afternoon. And the goal that we're trying to get to is we want all the judges who will be looking at the projects to have fully weighed in on exactly what winning criteria look like for them before we communicate it in detail to you. So what instead I'll do is I'll talk through what is known about how your projects will work. And I'll start there, and then I'm going to get into a little bit of detail around what winning projects look like. I'll try and get buy-in and weigh-in from everyone as much as possible. Oh, hi, Nikita. Sorry. Yeah, no problem at all. Your microphone doesn't have to be working as long as you can hear. Weigh in and buy in from all of you as much as possible as to what you think success will look like for your team. And then we'll take some Q&A at the end about what kinds of things you're worried about and what kinds of things you need to be having in your mind as you progress with your application. So the starting place, when you submit your app, you will have three things that you send us: a slide deck, a video, and a link. The link is to a certain degree optional. What that really specifically means is that a very short set of PowerPoint or Keynote slides or Google slides will be sort of one of the two main things that you are assessed by. It is likely to be a very strictly templated 5-slide format. And the point of that deck is to try and say, here's what we've built. The reason why we've highlighted a deck for this is that it's a short, quite constrained way of putting information in about your project that doesn't allow for a lot of overrun. And the reason why we've done that is because the sort of success criteria that you want to be aiming for, and we'll talk a lot more about this in a moment, is not how much have I done, but rather how far into solving the hard problems or conducting good learning about my problem area have I gone. And that's quite different from writing lots of words into, perhaps, for instance, a business plan or a sort of a very long and quite slide heavy presentation. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you'll submit is a video. And the sort of the mindset around the video is that there's often much more to a project than just what you can put on paper in a fixed setting. And so we want to make sure that we highlight an opportunity for one of two things to happen: either the context that goes into the writing down of slides, and we want to make that available, or an opportunity to showcase things that go above and beyond what's in the deck. So an example of that might be a demonstration of how clickable wireframe works. It might be a promotional video of some kind that effectively says, this is why this thing is so important and needs to exist. It might be a video that highlights the problem that has caused the application to need to come into existence. But it's a way of adding richer context to the slide deck that you present as the first sort of deliverable. The combination then of the slides and the video are the bulk of your submission that will go to the judges. The huge caveat to my saying that is that the third piece of submission is an app link of some kind. Now, the normal versions of those are a hard link to a wireframe or a landing page, a hard link to a prototype application, either live in the test flight or Android Play app stores, or in another developer environment, such as the DataSwift developer environment. But the sort of holy grail version of that is a live application that has the ability to some degree, demonstrate the value of what you're trying to champion with your app, or a prototype of a product, if it's a hardware product, that can be properly used. And we made that the third thing that you submit because it is difficult to achieve, scalable working prototypes in short periods of time. Our sponsor, DataSwift, has a platform specifically for trying to solve this problem, but even so, it is not an easy thing to do to create a live application in 48 hours. That said, there is a lot that you can do with your teams in this amount of time. And I think that all of the organizers would agree, and all of the judges will confirm this afternoon, I suspect, that links to prototypes, wireframes, and working applications are likely to be found in all of the winning application candidates, because there is some sense that ideas are very powerful things, absolutely no question about it. But one of the most important things about validating ideas is getting them into the hands of the public, or into the hands of users, or into the hands of people who can stress test them. And that work is really what starts to identify the difference between something that could be a good idea and something that ends up being a really good idea that actually does go off to change the world. I'll use that as a way of sort of pivoting into the second part of the conversation that we wanted to cover. So what we are keen to talk about in this workshop, and we'll likely duplicate this again tomorrow sometime, is not so much how to submit successfully for the end of the hackathon with your project, but rather what makes a successful project in general and how to get off the ground. Because in a perfect world, our judging criteria will be very closely aligned with what you should be having in the back of your mind as, am I being successful with my application or my ideas in a general context as I build technology overall? And so I want to highlight some of that for 15 minutes or so now. I'll try not to make it just me talking at you. The sort of the overview for it is that success as an entrepreneur with a new application, or a developer, or a designer, or an anyone, is about trying to reliably and provably say to the world that there is something that that you know to be true, that is not yet understood by or realized by a population of people, that revolves around the solving of a problem. So a nice, simple, and clear way of saying this, or of demonstrating this, is to identify that all of the ideas that we've talked about in the hackathon so far, all of the ideas that come into the hackathon, they will all be trying to right some perceived wrong in the market or in the research world or in technology or just generally. And it is sort of the fact that that is true, that this is about solving a problem, is sort of one of the areas where we can most clearly identify whether we are successful or not successful in building our applications. Because if we are right as entrepreneurs or new project leads, and there really is a problem here that needs to be solved, and it's really an important problem, and our solution would be a way of solving it, then there's a lot that we can do to demonstrate that in a way that makes it credible, not just to us inside our own minds, but to everyone who would ask. And that's what we want to be trying to aim for when we build new applications or tech products or just products generally. We don't necessarily want to be just making progress in creating our app or in progressing our idea or making our idea more robust. We want to be solving a problem. And that's sort of that's the gold star that we should all be trying to hold ourselves to here. What I'm trying to get at, in a very roundabout way, admittedly, is highlighting that when you focus on what the problem is that your idea is trying to solve, you can stop relying on persuasive skills a little bit to identify whether it's a good idea or not, or whether you're making progress with solving that problem. Because you'll be able to draw from data, sort of hard facts, in order to demonstrate what you believe. So one of the things that we try and highlight is that if, for instance, you are working on the hand washing sort of world, the sort of the mindset that you might bring to how far along you're making in terms of progress is not so much about how good is the prototype of the new wash basin that you've worked on, or the efficacy of, or how strong the ritual that you have designed for washing your hands might be. It would instead be about understanding exactly what problem your way of helping people with their hand washing is actually going to affect your end goal, which might be arresting the spread of the COVID-19 disease. And if you have that mindset, you can then go out and find specific data that would support your claim that your way of doing things is going to make a significant impact in solving that problem. That's the mindset that we want to try and achieve, is getting to a place where we can say with our project, the problem that I want to solve is this problem. It's clearly identified, it's straightforward, and it's real for a significant number of people. And then our progress in solving that problem is demonstrable with data. And that leads me into sort of prototyping and actually building a solution. If we get that first part right, then the solutions become far easier to sort of create and to demonstrate progress with, because unlike an idea that we have in our minds, or that just starts with sort of ourselves, our creative process, which can be somewhat hard to demonstrate progress for because it's difficult to identify good or bad, you can be very tangibly clear about exactly how far down the road towards success you are, because you have illustrations of solving the problem. And I think that you know, it's very common in hackathons to come idea first and then use problem as a way of supporting why your idea is around. And I think instead, progress and success for this hackathon should be about trying to flip the script and focusing from the problem first, and then saying, here's why our solution solves the problem. I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and ask for people's feedback and opinion, and open for some questions around this. And then after we've had a bit of a conversation, we're going to talk for another 10 minutes about what examples of that kind of progress are in real terms with some of your projects, and set us up for how to demonstrate that in your submissions. And not to put anyone on the spot, obviously you can tell me if you don't want to contribute in this kind of a way, it's perfectly okay. But just as a way of facilitating the conversation, maybe I could start with you, Priya, and ask you a little bit about what the problem is that you're really trying to solve with your solution, and what kinds of things you think you could achieve with what you're trying to build that would help to showcase how you're really solving that problem.
Sure, certainly. So during this time, in a lot of the countries globally, there's lockdown and quarantine. And with quarantine and not being able to partake in usual social activities or things that might lead to being fit or active, meeting friends, engaging with people, can lead to isolation, it can lead to inactivity, and we know that inactivity in itself has multiple health implications, whether that's musculoskeletal, whether it's cardiovascular, but also related to mental health, depression, anxiety, those sorts of things. So to lower the burden of disease that will come from quarantine by being indoors, I want to create a platform, a platform which not only allows one to look after their health needs through fitness, exercise, maybe meditation, depending on how far we get, but also to engage with others within a community. That's where a video platform where we can share one another's screens with other people. So you're part of a virtual classroom that's participating in exercise. We feel that we're able to tackle the isolation side through interactivity, but also the health side through actually taking part in a physical activity.
So it's an absolutely brilliant illustration of how far we can go over the course of a weekend. Can you talk a little bit about what you think are the important indicators of how bad this problem can be, or ways of measuring the sort of the pain that you imagine your users feel at the moment, that you can start to make an impact in as you build out the solution?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a lot of data around inactivity and physical and mental health implications. But of course, a lot of this data comes from a non-quarantined period. But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence at the moment, I suppose, which we can look at from sort of sentiment analysis, whether that's through sort of social media channels or other sort of community pages as well, where people are feeling these pain points, that they're struggling with quarantine. Sorry, what was the second stem of your question, Jonathan?
How will you think about what the solution can do in terms of sort of making an impact to one of those data-driven indicators of pain?
Yeah, sure. So if, for example, if we say the data shows that we can flip it, for example, and say that exercise, regular exercise alleviates depression or symptomology of depression by X%, then we can say that we are providing a solution where we are removing the barriers to exercise and making it as easy, as interactive and accessible as possible. And by doing so, we hope that in the users, we will be able to alleviate those problems or those depressive symptoms.
Totally amazing. Does anyone else have an example that they'd like to surface of how they're thinking about a problem that their solution can solve?
I think I already shared mine. So
well, could we get into
about
some
about
detail?
people habits? But
great, you did a great job with that.
if I'm gonna go with some details, it's gonna be how I can say it. It's gonna be around how we can implement technology to our lives, like our daily lives, also in public spaces. Like we are losing the social contacting right now, like we only use the technology. So we found the solution within the technology those days, and we also can implement it in a different way in our daily life, like outside of our homes. So if
Can
I'm
I
gonna
ask
go
you a specific question
specifically,
about it quickly, Abdullah?
yeah.
The sense that I get is that technology can support with either some form of individual health or arresting the spread of the disease generally. Is that how you think about it?
Yeah, because we are trying to use many type of technologies. As you can see that some of the countries just invent the sanitizing machine where the people can pass through and they can sanitize all the body from top to the bottom. So people are reacting so fast regarding the situation. So we can also implement those in our small things, like we can change our life habits to make it much more better the way how we can react. So regarding our project, if I'm gonna go more deep in it, it's gonna be how we can transform the usage of basins, almost like completely, how we can make it more efficiency with high hygiene, um, especially in public spaces, and how we can make it more uh, as a way to consume it.
So I think one of the things that I'd try and highlight for you and your team as we make progress through the weekend is to, as much as possible, highlight down the one or two clearly identifiable, ideally data-driven illustrations of what the problem is that action will solve. So it could be, for your example of the public spaces, it could be that transmission rates of the disease in shared public space are 5 to 15 times greater than they are in more remote areas, but that at least on a theoretical basis and potentially in live testing, you could demonstrate a reduction in that infection rate. That's the kind of mentality that I think all of the projects should try and bring. It's something along the lines of saying, here is what the problem is generally. Here is a specific way of thinking about that problem, ideally in numbers. And then the implementation of our solution would impact that problem rate by this much. And so that's sort of the mindset that we want to have. We'll do a lot more workshops on this as well to try and identify how for each team, there's sort of a specific implementation of that. Can I ask if anyone else has an example they'd like to bring? Lena, do you want to maybe talk to us a little bit about what you're working on?
Just a little, because we did not talk with the team. I just collect ideas about design.
Sure.
And so we have a meeting soon.
Okay.
So I prepare some visual part and then we discuss with my team.
What kind of problem are you trying to solve? What's your idea?
This idea about base knowledge about this virus and how we can help to prevent or to collect this knowledge for future.
These are flashcards, right?
Yes, these flashcards.
Awesome. So as a sort of a summary of the same kind of thing that Abdullah is working on and Priya are working on, is it sort of about saying that base understanding of the disease is at a certain level, and with the insertion of things like flashcards and other educational technologies, you'll be able to impact that base rate by a certain amount? Maybe?
Maybe.
Who knows? That's the sort of mindset that we're trying to champion. I mentioned before that the sort of submission process is fairly straightforward. What you'll be doing is you'll be putting forward a link to a prototype or an app or a thing that sort of demonstrates what you're trying to do, as well as a video and a slide deck. We'll get into the specifics of the templating and all of that kind of stuff later this afternoon in order to sort of give our judges as much time as possible to weigh in on what they'd like to see. So stay tuned. We'll make sure that it is all very, very clear to everyone exactly how to submit a winning project. And we'll try our best to build in feedback from you all about sort of how to do that in a successful way as we get closer and closer towards submission time. Until then, I would love to spend the next sort of 15 minutes or so answering questions if anyone has any. But the sort of the summary of the workshop that I hope you all take away is that a lot of how we look at progress and how we want to see projects succeed is by understanding in specific terms exactly what problem it is that we can solve with these kinds of applications and how much of an impact on those problems we can make by furthering our projects. I want to thank you all very much for taking part in this workshop. And like I said, I've got about 15 minutes free time. If anyone wants to ask any questions, I'd be very happy to answer.
Regarding the submissions and the competition, it's gonna be like submitting a short profile of our project, or it's gonna be like how we can show it to even non-professionals in this sector. So it's gonna be for the professionals or non-professionals?
The people judging the application are tech pros and probably subject matter experts in your area. So it's for them. One of the criteria that they will take on is how approachable or successful can this project be for your target audience. So if it's a consumer application, Terry, for instance, his project was targeted towards young children who are learning to read. So part of the submission criteria that project would be judged under would be how ready it is for that kind of a market. And that might involve something that faces those users, right? It might be that there is an element of what he submits that is about how it's marketed. And it would be important that can be consumed by his users. But the people who will be assessing Terry's project will be technology experts in his area of expertise.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions that I can answer for everyone? Hi, Youngjin, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Very good, thank you. And Shirley, a very good early morning to you. Guys, we're just wrapping up this workshop. We're sort of doing a Q&A now for the next 10 minutes or so, if you'd like to stick around. But everyone else, I'd like to thank you all for your time and attention. I look forward to seeing your projects in the Slack channel.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Youngjin, Shirley, is there anything I can talk to you guys about? Is there anything I can help you guys with? This workshop was about submitting projects and about how to be successful with your application. I'm happy to sort of give a quick overview if you'd like me to.
No, I'm good. I'm just signed in for the next one that James and I've been supposed to do. So I will just hang out and hear.
Perfect.
All right. How things are going?
Things are going great. Yeah, we've had a really good little morning. I had all of the teams check in at 7 a.m. and had sort of a quick overview with many of the team leads then. And we did a workshop on culture and team building in a remote setting with some great participation from a couple of the participants at 8. 8? 9? 8. And then for the last hour, we did a little workshop on what submission of the project is going to be like and how to be successful with your application.
I see. Great. Yeah. We had a great team meeting yesterday, right after the kickoff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it lasted much longer than I thought, about 2 hours. So we'll see. Teams, yeah, we have people designing the front end, trying to make some test data set with location information. So we'll see.
Sounds pretty exciting. Are you looking forward to seeing how your project unfolds?
All right.
Let's see what's next.
Just put mute on here.
Yeah. I might leave you to my good colleague James, if that's okay, Young Jin, and I'm going to stop the recording from the last session.